Imagine living in a world where cows were raised in extremely brutal conditions, without any concern for your well-being. Today, we know much more about ethics and sustainability, but in the past, animal husbandry practices could be shocking and inhumane. From tight confinements to cruel methods of fattening, some forms of breeding were real nightmares for the animals. In today's video, we'll explore the worst ways people raised cows back in the day and how these practices impacted not only the animals, but also the environment and food quality. Get ready for a journey to the darker and darker side of livestock history. Today, we will explore how cows were bred in the past and the most brutal practices used by different cultures and countries. Today, we talk a lot about animal welfare and sustainable livestock, but this was not always a concern. In the past, cows were treated as simple meat and milk machines. Get ready to discover the most shocking methods in the history of animal husbandry. Cattle breeding in antiquity. Ancient Egypt 3,000 years before Christ, 30 years before Christ, cows were considered sacred, but male calves were sacrificed at birth as they did not produce milk. Rudimentary milking methods that often caused infections in the animals. Ancient Roman Greece, 800 BC, 500 AD, the use of oxen for forced labor to exhaustion with little or no adequate food was normal at that time. Cattle raising in cramped conditions, as there was little space within the cities. Primitive methods of castration without any type of anesthesia. Middle Ages cattle on feudal farms. Medieval Europe, 500 years after Christ, 1500 years after Christ. Cows were raised in stables, tiny, dirty, and without ventilation, which increased the incidence of diseases. Poor and restricted food, often composed of crop residues and moldy straw. Corporal punishment applied to animals that did not produce enough milk. Medieval Asian and China, some cows were kept in extreme captivity to maximize milk production for the nobility. Forced fattening techniques, using mixtures of rice and fermented grains, resulting in severe digestive problems. The beginnings of factory farming dated from around 1700 to 1900. The demand for meat and milk increased with the growth of cities, leading to the emergence of the first industrial slaughterhouses. Extreme confinement, cows trapped in tiny spaces with no access to natural pastures. The overuse of natural hormones such as herbal mixtures and unknown substances to force cattle to grow. Cruel transport methods where cows were piled on trains and ships without food or water for days. 20th century, the heyday of intensive livestock farming. From the year 940 to the year 1980, the explosion of industrial farms, the rampant use of antibiotics to prevent diseases in unsanitary conditions, cows trapped in concrete pens without ever stepping on a blade of grass, the development of the first artificial insemination techniques, leading to genetic problems due to forced reproduction, inhumane slaughter practices, primitive methods of electrocution that were not always effective, Fortunately, many of these practices have been abandoned or replaced with more humane methods. Today, there is a growing concern about animal welfare and sustainability in livestock farming. However, there is still much to improve. What do you think about these old practices? Do you think we've evolved enough? Do you think we are truly treating animals in the proper way? Share your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos from our channel.